So I've been seeing somebody and, it's been very lovely. He's been wonderful. It's been a little over a month now. And I think I've kind of put sex off the table until we are ready to like date each other exclusively. But I'm like wondering though, if there is even that spark connection there. Like in my effort to want to like take things slow, I'm worried that one, maybe he might lose interest, but then also just for myself, I'm like, I think he's very different from any other guy that like I've dated before, which is great. Like, I don't feel that anxiousness or that need to, jump into sex to try to keep him around or whatever. But like, yeah, I'm concerned that I'm not going to be attracted to that. Like,
Has it been easy to not have sex with him?
A little bit. Yeah.
Okay. You know what's crazy? I've only coached you one time and met you one other time. I think you're dating someone who's lovely, but safe, and the spark isn't there.
Mm.
And you're thinking because he's nice and good and he's someone that you've never been with, like no other guy you've ever been with, you're like wanting to make it work. That's just my immediate hunch. So I'm just throwing it at you, but you tell me.
Definitely. No, I mean, I think
Yeah.
long term, there's definitely potential there. I think it's more so just
Wait. How does it feel to say, I think long term, there's definitely potential there? How does that thought feel?
that feels good because I haven't been able to really say that with a lot of guys in the past.
Yeah, but what about right now?
Yeah.
Like if I heard that Larry said about me, I think long term, there's definitely potential. I'd be
I
like,
think I mixed my words up. I think there's potential for long term with this person, if that makes
yeah,
sense.
because he's available.
Because he's secure. It's secure. It feels
Right.
like I
He's
feel like I know
available and therefore you feel secure, but you don't seem excited.
I am excited. I'm just not like jumping in the pants necessarily at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but I would say that that's like not fully excited.
Sure. Yeah.
Just because also, I think this is what's also coming up for me is that we literally just coached 2 weeks ago that you were still like jonesing for someone else. Like, I didn't even know that you were seeing this other person. It just feels a little like he's safe, it's secure, there's potential for long term, but like he's not really doing it for me. And I'm like not like even excited to rip his clothes off after dating him for a month. That's what I'm getting from you. If it's something different, tell me.
I mean, maybe it's partially that. I feel like maybe I thought I did mention the guy in the last call. I think it was because like, I wanted to be able to go further with this guy, but because I was still like, whatever with the ex, like I wasn't able to fully go in.
Sorry.
But now
Okay. And
I want to be able to like go there. I'm finding like shit, am I gonna be attracted to that when this has been what I've been going after?
right. But I think like it's very clear to me how attracted you were to the other guy.
Mhm.
And just the way you're presenting it to me, it's very clear to me that you're not that attracted to this guy.
Okay,
Because
so
the first thing that I wrote was that you said, I'm wondering what?
you should just end it then.
Hold on. I'm not saying what you should do. That's up to you. But the first thing you said, and I wrote it down, was I'm wondering if their spark is even there. And you've been dating him for a month and you've been like thinking about this other person.
Partially, yeah.
Yeah.
I do think that there's potential there. Like I'm attracted to this guy, like outward.
Okay.
It's there and there's moments and we've had like, some nice little moments. But I guess I haven't done the like fantasizing or like the things that you do when you like really, really like someone.
Yeah.
But I also don't think that I was liking good people then.
Right. But I just think that you need to see that it doesn't have to be either or. Like you could like actually be with someone who does it for you physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And what I'm getting from you is that like, this is a good person and you are intrigued by him, but it hasn't even been that hard to not sleep with him. And you're like, I'm wondering if the spark is there. I see potential long-term. It's just, I just want to offer that you could have all of that and it could just be there.
Absolutely. I also want to acknowledge that right now, like the thought of like ending things with him, like is upsetting me. Like, I don't want like it, I don't want it to end.
Yeah. And so why don't you want it to end?
Because I do feel really good with this guy. Like I do feel really just, yeah, it is safe, and it's safe in an emotional way. Like it's not
Beautiful.
safe like as like, oh yeah, he's gonna be there or whatever. It's like, I feel like I can just be myself with you.
Yeah.
Feels really good. So I don't want to lose that simply because I'm jonesing for guys that don't want me, you
Right.
know?
But that's the thing, is that it doesn't have to be either or, right?
Right.
Like just because you've been emotionally attached to emotionally unavailable men, like if you're not physically attracted to an emotionally available person, that's okay too.
Mhm.
That's all I'm
What do I
saying.
do about it? I understand that. I understand that, and I appreciate that.
That I don't think it's either or.
Okay.
Like you could just be with yourself until you find someone who has all of it, or you explore this further and see if a spark is there and you take it to the next step to see if it could grow. And that's your decision.
Yeah. Okay.
So what do you think as I say that to you?
I don't know. Um, yeah, I mean, that makes sense. I don't want to end things like that. I don't want him getting emotional about that. Like that feels
Okay.
I don't know. And I also like,
You don't have to. I'm not saying you have to, by the
no,
way.
I know, but like, you're right. Like, there's a part of me that's like, well, if I do want all of that, right? Like, if that's the ultimate goal is to just have it all, then I don't want to keep stringing this guy along if it's not there. But also, like, I've been holding that off because I want to build that like strong emotional, safe connection with this person. And now I feel like it's about that time where it's like, okay, can we introduce this? Am I ready for that? I don't know. Am I am I going to be able to do that, you know? So I think like maybe that's the bigger work there. But I'm like, yeah, I don't want to end it. I don't want to have to like end this so I can do that work. But like, I don't even know what that work is, you know?
Olivia, I don't think you have any work to do except like the continued work that you're doing. I think you're so self-aware. I think you're super connected to yourself. All I'm saying is like, you could continue to see this through with him. And it sounds like you're curious enough and you're pretty clear that you don't want to just end it. So maybe the coaching is, how do we navigate through that to see if there is a physical connection, which I'm totally open to. And it's amazing that you've met this lovely guy. Right. But I don't think that there's like, oh, and if you end it with him, then there's like this work you need to do to then be ready for the right person. I'm doing it like wrap it up with a neat bow. Cause I think there's that misconception with the fall in love with you work of like, I have to do all this work. And I think you have been doing a lot of work on yourself. And I think you're ready. I'm just saying, you know, and I know that this might sound heartbreaking because it's not a knock on him, but you don't have to settle or sacrifice chemistry just because this wonderful available person is here. Like you really could have it all. Or you could move through this discomfort and like really see it all the way through. And it could end up being a little more heartbreaking if you do sleep with him and ultimately decide it's just not there for yourself. But then you have the peace of knowing and that you really tried. And that will be heartbreaking in and of its own right. But like, this is the name of the dating game, as you well know.
Yeah. And I think like that choice or dilemma is like, what's upsetting me, you know? Or fear of like, also, okay, I got this. Is this going to happen again if it doesn't work out, you know?
It 100% will. When you're clearing the space, it's really no different. You were here last week, right? She's not here this week, but Suzanne, when she was talking about well, I kind of was saying to myself, like, why not just keep seeing it through? Like, if this is what's out there, and like that guy was giving her crumbs, this guy sounds lovely, which makes it more emotional, right? But it's like, you will find the right person when you're clearing the space for the right person. I think your work would be to just be comfortable being alone until it's all there. Or we go down this road of being like, how do I, take this to the next level to really see? I think what might be helpful is, when you got emotional and like, I don't want to end it. I don't want to let him go. And I said, why? You said something to the effect, sorry, I didn't write it down, but you said something to the effect of like, the safety or something. Can you just tell me again, why don't you just, sorry, I'm brain farting and I didn't write it down, but why don't you want to let it go with this guy who you're not really sure if the spark is even there? What's the thought?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, he's different from any other guy like I've dated before, because I can feel like I can really just be myself around him.
Mhm.
I feel he's like genuinely like curious about me, and like there's really good communication there. And this is something I haven't really experienced before, so I'm not really ready for the ride to end necessarily. I want to be able to like know and learn more about myself, and like what this is to like date from like a healthier kind of place.
Okay. So what I would just offer for that, like that makes so much sense on a human level. And I understand that, but I don't think you need to explore more in order to know what that feels like. Because it feels to me like what you're saying is like, yeah, I just don't want to let that go. That feels really nice, instead of being alone with myself to carve out space for the person whose clothes I want to rip off, who's also going to just let me be myself with him.
mm,
Like that part feels so nice and he's so good. And it's the first time I've ever had that. So I don't want to let that go. But I do think that ties back to Suzanne. It's like, yeah, but if it's not the right person, then it's just holding on to that for that emotional safety that I think you can give to yourself.
mm,
And I'm just offering that as an option. I know it sounds like I'm saying you got to end it. I don't necessarily think that's true. I always say attraction can grow. But I would say my initial hunch is what you're saying is like, that's the part that you're obviously struggling with. So let's talk about what those next steps would look like, if you don't mind going there.
yeah.
So you feel like it's, as you said, it's been a month and you feel like it's kind of that time where.
Yeah, or
things could
maybe we get a little more physically intimate.
Yeah. And so when you think about doing that, what comes up for you?
Whether like the things that I'm into, like, is he gonna be into it, yeah, like I don't know, it's just like his personality and just like how we are, it feels like really I keep going back to the word safe, and now I'm wondering if maybe the way that I've been having sex in the past is kind of dangerous. And so like, is it gonna work? Not dangerous, but just more intense, passionate kind of thing. And I think how we've been so far has been very like emotional, and like there's been a lot of mental, like deep,
Yeah.
intellectual conversations. Can we just shut up and just like, do these other things? I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to offer this to you and I'm curious what your thoughts are. What if you express that to him?
Yeah.
What if
I
you
plan to.
said,
Yeah.
it feels like there's an elephant in the room. Obviously, I've been going at a slower pace. And I've got to be honest, when I think about us taking things to a more advanced physical level or whatever you want to say, or us having sex, I'm like a little nervous about it all. And I'm worried about how you're going to perceive me, because we have these emotional, this emotional, very deep mental connection. And I'm this in bed and I like don't know how you're going to receive me. And if like that's your style, and is that going to change things between us? Like that is fucking raw and vulnerable to say. But like, if you want to see this through and you're not ready to let this person go, I think the only way to give the physical component that fair shot would be to just say it. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I think that's what I want to do. I want to have like the sex
The talk.
you know?
Yeah.
Like, we really just like, okay, well, what are you into? Like, what do you like? And I
Yeah.
think that'll stimulate, you know, some things.
Yeah. Pun intended. Yeah.
Literally. So yeah, no, I definitely think that that was the next move. I think I'm just like overthinking it now, like leading up to it, like.
No, but now we're having this coaching conversation. You're clear you're not ready to leave. It could be that you're using it as an emotional safety blanket. We're not sure yet because he's showing up in a way that no other man has, and the other men have been unavailable. So we're seeing that. You're aware that it doesn't mean it has to be this option for someone to be emotionally available. That doesn't mean like this is your only option. You're aware of all of that. And you're not ready to let him go. So the next simple step would be to have a conversation. It's actually very simple. It's vulnerable, but it's simple.
Mhm, absolutely. Yeah, that feels right.
Yeah. So isn't this the beauty of coaching? It's like, you thought I was going in one direction, and it's like, no, I just want to step back and look at the whole picture of what's actually true. And then when you were like, oh, you're saying I should end it. No, that's not for me to decide. Let's talk it out. But I just don't want it to come from this narrow tunnel vision of like the way you were presenting it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I understand.
Yeah. And personally, like sometimes I'm like, oh, I wish she chose option B in my head, but because it's not for me to say, but I love this. Like, I love where we came to, and I had no idea that that's where it was going to land.
Mm.
And I think you're pretty happy with this.
Yeah,
Like,
no, I'm
next
excited
step.
for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
For it.
And regardless, would it be so upsetting if it doesn't work out with this guy, or you decide this just isn't for me? This guy isn't for me, as lovely as he is. Yes. But that kind of work, it's like talking to Carrie last week about showing up for the second date, right? Even though he was not really showing signs of availability, she needed to gather more information. And it was more about her growth of showing up and being like, hey, what do you mean by, you're not sure about what it is that you're looking for? She's showing up, right? Just for herself and the growth. This is so amazing. I think you're showing up for him too, which is beautiful, but you're really showing up for yourself by just being completely raw and honest about a very vulnerable topic, an aspect of your relationship. It's a really beautiful thing that, you know, if on the other side of it, he's not your person, such a bummer, but like, I believe that that's where you're getting that much closer to your right person.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I believe the work is working, even when you rise to the occasion with someone and it doesn't work out with that person. When you're being really conscious and strategic and intentional about how to proceed, that is what's going to bring you to the right person if it's not him.
Yeah. And that feels good, because I think I was also like at a point of maybe not trusting myself. Like, okay, well, if I do meet somebody that gives me all that, you know, fire right out the gate, like that hasn't worked for me in the past. Like, is this going to hurt me again? You know, like yeah.
Yeah. But you know, that's the same. That was how I chose men all throughout my 20s and into my early 30s was, if I'm not attracted, I'm not interested. And then I was like, okay, that's not working, because I would be attracted. And then, you know, obviously didn't work out. Right. And then I started playing with, because one boyfriend actually in my late 20s, before my rock bottom relationship, I wasn't physically attracted to, but we like got to know each other. And then all of a sudden the attraction built. So I had evidence that attraction can grow. And then I did all this work to like allow attraction to grow in relationships. The guy who broke my heart in 2017, my last heartbreak, I was barely attracted to him. I was like, there's something here. And the first kiss was so awkward, but there was that, again, mental, you know, emotional connection. And then the chemistry was off the charts. And then I met Larry and the chemistry was immediately off the charts, but he was paying attention to me. He was asking me questions. He was humored by my really quirky sense of humor, right? So there's no right way it's going to start. It's going to be different for everybody. And I don't think it's because, yeah, I do think sometimes relationships don't work out because you're blinded by the immediate attraction and not paying attention to availability and compatibility and having the vulnerable conversations about, what you guys are both looking for and all of that. That's how relationships
That's what
don't
it is.
work out, right? But you can also be immediately attracted and pay attention and slow things down and be intentional and have the hard conversations. Because I was like, when I met Larry, but we had that freaking awkward conversation the second weekend we hung out about him not wanting any more kids. So that was really heavy and awkward, but it was necessary because I wasn't rushing the bus or the train, but I was not fucking around. So I wanted to know what he was looking for. And then the kids thing came up, and that was a really important conversation for us to have. Because at that point in time, I thought, well, if I met someone by my early 40s, I would still have a kid. And then the vulnerability of like, and now I like you, and you're telling me you don't want a fifth. Why not? Why would no one want a fifth? Right. But and then I was like, I feel like I'm supposed to go, but I don't want to go. And he was like, well, can you just hang around and get to know me and see if this is a life that you would want? This is such an early conversation. And all I ask is that if you decide you don't want, if you have to have your own kid, that you'll just, let me know. And I was like, but then what about your feelings? And I was worried about hurting him. And he's like, this is a risk I'm willing to take, right? Hard, vulnerable conversations while I totally wanted to rip off his clothes. Like it's possible to have both.
Yeah.
And you don't need to have both. This, you and I could be laughing about this and he could end up being your person. Right? Like anything. It's just at the beginning, I was like, wait. I just I'm getting this vibe. Right. And then I got more information. Like he could end up being your person. We don't know. And it could be because you tried really hard, but the spark just wasn't there. Like everyone's getting together for different reasons and everyone's breaking up for different reasons. It's also okay to break up if the spark isn't there and you really tried. But I think sometimes we get caught in the weeds of it's supposed to look and feel like this. And I don't agree with that because I've experienced all of it and I've observed all of it with my clients. It's different for everybody.
That's true. Yeah.
And I think it just comes back to stay in your own lane, pay attention to how you're feeling, rise to the occasion, address your questions, address your concerns, be vulnerable. And, I was about to say proceed with caution, but it's as if I'm telling you to put your guard up and it doesn't sound like you need to, but just pay attention to how you're feeling.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. Will do.
You feel okay?
I do. Yeah. I feel like that was the route that I was probably going to go or wanted to go, but I guess I was just wondering if there was other work there or more work there that needed to happen, before.
Yeah. I think for you, you've got to trust all the work that you've done. There's no work. It's just go be the product of the work. And that doesn't mean your work is done, Olivia. You've arrived, right? I always say this, we all have self-love work to do ongoing, no matter who is or isn't in your life. But I think you're getting in the weeds a little bit about you're supposed to clean some area up. And again, if it doesn't work out with this guy, there's nothing to clean up. You just need to be giving yourself the love, safety, and security that you crave until the right person arrives. Absolutely. If it's not him.
Yeah.
And just remember, don't fall into the either or. It's definitely not that other guy. And it may or may not be this guy. And you could end up being alone again for a while until the right guy comes. And that's it.
Absolutely.
Scene.
Excited to report back.
I'm excited to hear for sure. For sure. What a great question. Thanks, Olivia.